Yatziri was an indigenous woman who lived on the banks of the Great Orinoco River. One day she was out as usual collecting fruits, tubers, and roots when in the distance she heard the piercing screams of a woman, and a few seconds later gunshots that caused the surrounding animals to flee, as well as the birds that were perched in the nearby trees. Suddenly, she felt the footsteps of people rapidly approaching her. She quickly ducked into the underbrush and saw 3 armed white men. Yatziri hurried towards where she had heard the gunshots. What she saw left her completely perplexed. On the ground lay a white woman with a small child that she hugged as if protecting him. The woman was still breathing. Yatziri approached her trying to help her, but she was already in agony in her last moments. The woman managed to murmur Raoul's name. She said it in a slow way. This was Raoul, she murmured before giving her last breath. Yatziri thought that it was the name of the one who shot her.
Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story.
The woman took the child in her arms. He was crying uncontrollably. On her chest there was a silver plate tied to her neck. One of the bullets had gone through the woman's body and had been stopped almost miraculously by that small metal plate and had saved her life. Yatziri took the child and soothed him, nursing him from her own breast as she had small children to whom she still gave her milk. She looked at him tenderly, and at that moment their hearts were united forever. The woman took him to her village, which was in the deepest and most inaccessible part of the jungle, for the white man had forced them deeper and deeper into it. When he arrived, surprise and alarm reigned in that small village, which had never seen a white person so close and unprotected at the same time. The white man had long enough used only violence and atrocity as a means of dominating the jungle and its inhabitants. The blood that had been shed and the pain and death it had brought to the jungle peoples were very, very great. The presence of a white baby in the heart of this village aroused fear and the strongest feelings of fear, resentment, rejection, and hatred. The poor white child represented everything bad and negative about his color. It reminded them that he was part of the white enemy and should not survive. Their blood had to be avenged and that child had to pay. If they do that, they will be as bad and cruel as the whites. You'll be as ruthless as them. You'll be no different from them. If you kill this baby, you will be no better than them, Yatziri told them in a strong and stern voice. The words, full of courage and feelings, made the natives understand that the little boy was not to blame for his color, just as they were not to blame for their origin or appearance. Yatziri adopted the little one she had rescued and named him Kanek, which means rescued from death, as the deformed silver plate reminded her of the surprising way he had escaped from their clutches. Yatziri had already been widowed when her husband had been attacked by a jaguar and died. She had 2 children and now little Kanek was part of her family. The woman raised Kanek and her children as if she had given birth to all 3 of them. And when her other children asked why Kanek was so different from them, with skin and eyes so light, she would tell them that the little boy was born at dawn, just as the first rays of the sun began to bathe the jungle. Kanek grew up as one of those indigenous people with their customs and beliefs and became an expert connoisseur of the jungle and a skilled warrior and hunter. He loved it as his home and was happy in it. The life of Yatziri, Kanek, and his other children ran with the normality of one who is completely adapted to his environment. Until one day, loud explosions were heard in the surroundings of the village of that indigenous tribe. The white man had arrived and was determined to drive them out of their home. The explosions were because a new gold mine was about to start being exploited and a handful of machines and elements for the extraction of the metal had arrived at the site. The entire village came to the site, and ahead of them all were the men with their weapons. Kanek's white, stockier body stood out immediately. The man in charge of all that earth-moving and machinery, seeing what was happening and in awe of curiosity, stepped forward and using an interpreter told the elders that he wanted to take a closer look at Kanek. That moment was impressive. Carlos approached Kanek little by little, and their eyes couldn't believe it. When they were close, the 2 men looked like a drop of water. The resemblance between them was totally amazing and left no doubt that there was a kinship between them. The man looked at the silver piece on the boy's neck and asked him to show himself. He could read on the back of it the initials CJ. It was his son Carlos Jose, who he believed had died. Yatziri told him the story of how she'd found Kanek, how some men had killed his wife and everything that happened afterwards. The name Raoul was from his former business partner who wanted to put his wife by his side, as she did not agree with her husband developing projects in the virgin forest. Kanek's father was led to believe that the locals had killed both his wife and son. He made many efforts but was never able to find their whereabouts. He developed a deep resentment for those people and had always fought to dispossess them of their lands and wealth. Mining operations were immediately suspended. This man had received a great lesson in life. Those he hated and despised so much, those he had caused so much harm to, those who had always been the objects of his prejudice, those same people had rescued, cared for, and raised his own son. And now, thanks to them, he could once again embrace him and tell him how much he loved him. The jungle found in that man one of its most fervent defenders, as well as those of the indigenous peoples. Two worlds had met, and they had learned to respect each other. Did you like this story of Yatziri and Kanek? Would you have done the same? Leave us your comments, thoughts, and reflections below. And don't forget to give us a like if you like this story, share it with your friends and family. And don't forget, we'll be back soon with another story to share. See you soon.
If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone who may find it interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.